The cursed mirror. The mirror arrived in a crate with no return address. When Olivia Keller dragged it into her apartment, a strange chill crept up her spine. It was old, Victorian maybe. The glass was warped, rippling unnaturally under the dim lighting. But the strangest part? The reflection inside seemed off. She couldn't put her finger on it, but when she walked past, she could swear her reflection moved a little too slow, or not at all. A gift or a curse? The mirror had belonged to her great-grandmother, passed down for generations. Her mother always told her never to look into it for too long. But Olivia was a skeptic. Ghost stories were just stories, right? Still, that first night, as she lay in bed, she felt watched. Like the mirror wasn't just reflecting the room, like something was inside, looking out. She told herself it was just her imagination, until the whispering started. A voice from the other side. It was soft at first, a faint, distant murmur like someone speaking behind glass. She sat up, her breath shallow. It was coming from the mirror. Olivia held still, listening. The voice was distorted, wet, like it was underwater, but she heard the words clear as day. "Let me out." Her blood ran cold. The room plunged into silence. The air grew heavy, and then the reflection moved, but Olivia hadn't. The handprint on the glass. Her heart pounded. She leaned forward, gripping the blankets. Her reflection was smiling, but she wasn't. Then slowly, painfully, deliberately, the Olivia in the mirror raised her hand and pressed it against the glass. A dark, wet handprint bloomed on the surface. A handprint from the other side. Olivia's scream caught in her throat, and as she watched in horror, the handprint began to spread. The glass cracked, and the whisper returned. "Let me out." Olivia didn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the mirror across the room. Her body was stiff with fear, her breath shallow. That whisper, "Let me out," it still echoed in her ears. And that handprint, it had been real, hadn't it? The logical part of her brain screamed that it was just her imagination, but deep down she knew something was inside that mirror, and it was watching her. A fracture in reality. The next morning, Olivia tried to shake off the fear. It was just a dream, a trick of the light. But when she approached the mirror, the crack was still there, thin, jagged, like a fracture in reality itself. She reached out, fingertips hovering over the glass. A deep, aching cold radiated from it, seeping into her skin. She jerked her hand back, and that's when she saw it. A shadow. It moved just beneath the surface, something lurking inside. It slithered, twisting, shifting, and then her reflection blinked, but she hadn't. Her heart slammed against her ribs, and before she could react, the shadow lunged forward. Something reaches through the glass, bulged outward, warping as if something was pressing from the other side. A shape. No, a hand. Its twisted fingers stretched toward her, the surface of the mirror rippling like water. Olivia stumbled backward, a scream caught in her throat. The hand disappeared. The mirror went still. The room was silent, but something had changed. She felt it in the air, in her bones. Something had gotten through. The stench of decay. That night, the apartment felt wrong. The air was thick, heavy, and the smell, rot, like something had died inside the walls. Olivia gagged, covering her nose. She checked the kitchen, the garbage, even under her bed. Nothing. The smell clung to her skin, to the air, to the mirror. Her stomach churned, because she knew somehow the stench was coming from inside the glass. Like whatever was trapped in there was rotting. Or worse, coming through, the reflection that wasn't hers. She tried to ignore it, tried to convince herself she was just paranoid, but then she saw her reflection move. It didn't copy her. It lagged, a second too slow. Her stomach twisted into knots. She waved her hand. The reflection stood still. Her blood turned to ice. Then it smiled. It knows she sees it. Not a normal smile, a grin, wide, unnatural, stretched too far, and the eyes, dark, hollow, too deep, like there was something else looking out from inside her face. Olivia's breath hitched, her hands trembled, and then the reflection spoke, but her lips never moved. It tilted its head, whispering, "Let me in." The light flickered, the room plunged into darkness, and from inside the mirror, something laughed. The room was pitch black. The air was thick, suffocating. Olivia's pulse thundered in her ears. That laughter, deep, wet, crawling through her skin. It came from the mirror, but she couldn't see it anymore. The apartment lights had flickered out. She fumbled for her phone, her fingers trembling. She turned on the flashlight, casting a beam across the room, and froze. The mirror was empty. Her reflection was gone. The missing reflection. She took a step closer, her breath ragged. The glass was deep black, absorbing all light. But something was wrong. She felt it. A shift in the air, like she wasn't alone. And then her reflection came back, but it wasn't her. Not anymore. The Olivia in the mirror stood too straight, too still. Her eyes were wrong, dark, sunken pits. And that grin, too wide, too hungry. Her voice was barely a whisper. "What are you?" The reflection tilted its head, and then it answered, "I am you now." Something is taking over. A cold wave of terror crashed through her. This thing, it wasn't just mimicking her, it was replacing her. She stumbled back, her breath ragged. The reflection didn't move, it just stared, grinning. Then slowly, its lips parted, and something crawled out. A dark, twisted hand. Not made of flesh, but of shadow. Its fingers stretched past the glass, curling toward her. Reaching. Olivia screamed, and then the light snapped back on. The hand vanished. The mirror was normal again. Her reflection was her own, but on the glass, written in a smear of black, almost there. "It follows." Her Olivia left the apartment, ran down the cold, empty streets, heart hammering. She needed air, space, a way to clear her head. But the feeling didn't leave her. She still felt watched, even outside, like the mirror's presence clung to her skin, like it had left something inside her. She caught her reflection in a store window, and her stomach dropped. It was smiling again, and she wasn't. The stranger in the glass. She rushed home, slamming the door behind her. She couldn't escape it. Not in windows, not in puddles on the sidewalk, and definitely not in the mirror. That night, she covered the mirror with a blanket. But it didn't matter, because she could still hear it, whispering, laughing, soon. Something is coming through. As she lay in bed, she felt something shift in the room. A weight, a presence. She turned over and froze. The blanket had fallen away. The mirror was wide open. The crack in the glass had spread, and inside, something was crawling out. Not her reflection, not anymore. Something much worse. The air in the room was thick, suffocating. The mirror stood bare, its glass now split and warped, like a wound torn open in reality. And from that wound, something crawled out. Olivia's body was paralyzed with terror. She wanted to scream, to run, to do anything. But she couldn't. Her legs wouldn't move. Her breath hitched in her throat. Because the thing that wore her face was stepping into her world. The hollow reflection. It wasn't just a shadow, not anymore. It had flesh now, blackened, twisted, like it had been burned in some otherworldly fire. Its eyes were hollow pits, endless and dark. Its teeth were jagged, unnatural. And yet, it still looked like her, a mockery of her, like a reflection that had been corrupted, a version of her that had rotted away in the mirror. And now it was here. I don't need the mirror anymore. It stepped forward. The floor creaked beneath its weight. It grinned, wide, unnatural, too knowing. I don't need the mirror anymore, it whispered. Olivia's breath came in shallow gasps. What are you? The thing laughed, a deep, guttural sound that rattled the air. I am what you left behind. It took another step. I am you. The you that never escaped. Olivia backed away. Her pulse pounded against her skull. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. But the thing was real. It was here. And it wanted to replace her. The first attack. The lights flickered. The air grew colder, and then the thing lunged. Its hands snapped forward, its fingers like claws. Olivia screamed, barely dodging. She stumbled back, crashing into her nightstand. The lamp shattered against the floor. The thing's fingers grazed her arm, and an icy pain shot through her veins, like rotting ice seeping into her flesh. She gasped, clutching her arm. The skin where it touched was blackened, burned. The thing smiled wider. You can't stop it, it whispered. You let me out, and now, it tilted its head. I will take your place. A desperate escape. Olivia ran, bolted for the door, but the moment she grabbed the handle, her body froze. A force unseen, crushing, slammed her against the wall. She gasped for air. The thing stalked closer. You don't get to leave, it whispered. Not this time. Her vision blurred. Her body felt like it was sinking, like she was being pulled backward. No, not pulled. Dragged. The mirror's surface rippled behind her, like a mouth opening. A black void, waiting, and she was being sucked in. The other side. The force grew stronger. Her feet lifted off the ground. The room warped around her. The mirror's crack widened, splitting reality apart. The thing watched her, smiling. It wasn't stopping this, it was making it happen. Because it wasn't leaving empty-handed, it was trading places. Olivia's fingers clawed at the floor. Her screams ripped through the air, but the force was unstoppable. The mirror swallowed her whole, and the world snapped shut. Something else wears her skin. The apartment went silent. The mirror was whole again. No cracks, no shadow, just a simple, ordinary mirror. And standing in front of it was Olivia, or at least something that looked like her. It stared at its new reflection. It blinked, it smiled, much better, and then it turned off the lights. Olivia's scream was swallowed by silence. Her body hit the ground, but not her bedroom floor. She was somewhere else, somewhere wrong. The air was thick, suffocating, heavy with shadows, and the only light was the mirror, floating in the endless black. And on the other side, the thing wearing her face. It looked at her, grinning. Much better. Then it turned off the lights. The world inside the mirror. Olivia scrambled to her feet, heart pounding. The ground beneath her was cold. Not wood, not carpet, something wet, like rotting stone. She looked around, but there was nothing, only blackness. A world without walls. A world where light didn't belong. And then, she heard it. A whisper, right behind her. "She won't let you go." Olivia spun, but there was nothing. No shapes, no figures, just whispers, circling her. "She won't let you go. She waits for you. She has always waited for you." A new terror slithered through Olivia's veins. The thing that took her place, it wasn't the only thing here. Something else was watching. Something older, something worse, and it was waiting for her. The whispering hands. A chill crept down her spine. The whispers grew louder. And then, fingers, thin, skeletal, clawing out of the darkness. They wrapped around her arms, her legs, her throat. She screamed, thrashing, but the hands were too strong. They pulled her deeper, away from the mirror, away from the only exit. No, she couldn't let it take her. She fought back, kicked, clawed. Her nails ripped through rotting skin. The hands screamed, but they didn't let go. They pulled harder, dragging her into the darkness. The voice in the dark. Then everything stopped. The hands vanished, the whispers faded, and a new voice spoke. "You are mine now." It came from everywhere and from nowhere. A deep, broken voice crawling through her bones. Olivia turned, and there a shape emerged. A figure in black, shifting like smoke. But its face, it was hers, a third version of herself. But this one was rotting. Its skin peeled away in sheets, its eyes wept black. And when it smiled, its teeth were shattered glass. "You belong here." It lunged. The final escape. Olivia dodged barely. The thing screeched. The ground cracked beneath her. The mirror, it was still there, still glowing, still open. Her only way out. She ran, faster than she ever had. The thing chased her, its hands stretched too long, too wrong, fingers like knives. Olivia leaped and slammed into the glass. For a moment, nothing. Then, light exploded. The mirror shattered. The world collapsed. Back to reality? Olivia gasped and bolted upright. She was back in her bedroom. The mirror was gone, not broken, not cracked, just gone, like it had never been there. Had she escaped, or had she just traded places again? Her breath slowed, her heart pounded. Then she heard it, a whisper. From the window, she turned, and in the reflection of the glass, something smiled back. The Devil's Hospital. The hospital had been abandoned for 30 years. St. Dymphna's Asylum stood at the edge of town like a rotting corpse, its broken windows staring like hollow eye sockets. Once a place for the mentally ill, the asylum had closed down after a horrific scandal. Patients disappeared. Doctors went mad. Something evil was inside those walls, and the town decided to seal it away forever. But urban explorers never listened. Danny, Lisa, and Mark had been waiting for this moment. They had spent years documenting haunted places, chasing real horror, but nothing had ever been truly terrifying. Every asylum, every old hospital, it was all just graffiti and dust. But St. Dymphna's? People never came back. The last group to enter had gone missing for 2 weeks. When they finally emerged, their bodies were found hanging from the hospital's gates, skin removed, eyes gouged out, mouths frozen in silent screams. Danny didn't believe in ghosts, but he did believe in a good story. Tonight, they would finally enter the Devil's Hospital, and they would never leave. Crossing the threshold, the front doors loomed like the gaping maw of some ancient beast. The air was thick, suffocating, as if the hospital itself was breathing. Lisa shivered. "I don't like this place," she muttered. "That's the point," Mark said, adjusting his camera. Danny grinned. "Come on, guys, we finally made it." They stepped inside, and the doors slammed shut behind them. Inside the nightmare, the air changed the second they entered. It was dead. No sound, no echo, just an endless, crushing silence. Lisa clicked on her flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing peeling walls covered in something black and wet. Danny ran his fingers across the wall. Mold? He guessed. Lisa shook her head. That's not mold. It looked like veins. Mark aimed his camera down the hallway. The lens glitched. Something's messing with my camera, he muttered. Then, a sound, a whisper, so soft, so distant, like something deep inside the hospital had just woken up. Danny grinned. Did you hear that? Lisa nodded slowly. Yeah, and I don't think we should be here. Danny ignored her. Let's go deeper. They walked down the hallway, their footsteps unnaturally loud in the silence. The shadows twisted, the walls breathed. Something was watching, and it was hungry. The patient rooms. The hospital rooms were filled with rusted beds, shattered mirrors, and old, yellowed restraints. Lisa stopped at one of the doors. There was something scratched into the wood. Don't look at him. Who's him? Mark whispered. Danny pushed the door open. Inside was an old patient's room. A wheelchair sat in the middle, and in the corner of the room, a man stood facing the wall. Lisa froze. Who the hell is that? Danny lifted his camera. Sir? He called. The man didn't move. Lisa grabbed Danny's arm. We need to leave, right now. Danny took a step closer. The man's head twitched. Then, he snapped his neck completely backward. His face was not human. Mouth stretched too wide, skin peeling, eyes gone. And he was smiling. Lisa screamed. The lights flickered. Danny stumbled back. The man moved toward them, fast. But the moment the light went out completely, he vanished, the hallway of the dead. They ran. Mark gasped for breath, his camera shaking. What the hell was that? Danny couldn't answer. Lisa grabbed his arm. We have to get out of here. They turned a corner and froze. The hallway had changed. The walls were no longer rotting and broken. They were clean, bright. But they were not alone. The hallway was full of patients. They stood motionless, heads twitching. Their eyes were missing. Their mouths stretched into silent screams. Danny's blood turned to ice. The patients turned toward them, and they started to run. Lisa grabbed Danny's hand. Move! They sprinted down the hallway, the sound of bare feet slapping against the tile chasing after them. The hospital was alive, and it wanted to keep them. The blood room. Danny slammed into a door at the end of the hallway. He threw it open and froze. The room was covered in blood. The walls, the ceiling, the floor, dripping, soaking, drenched in red. And in the middle, a surgeon stood over a patient, cutting into them. The patient was still alive, twitching, mouth open in agony. The surgeon turned. His eyes were pure black. His mask was soaked in blood, and he lifted his scalpel. You're next. The lights went out, and the screaming began. The moment the lights died, the screaming began. Danny couldn't see anything. Just the wet sound of flesh being cut, the desperate gasps of the patient, and the chilling whispers that slithered through the dark. Then, a click. The lights flickered back on. The blood-soaked surgeon was gone. The operating table was empty, but the walls, they were now covered in words, scratched deep into the flesh of the building itself. No one leaves. He sees you. Your soul belongs to him. Lisa grabbed Danny's arm, her nails digging into his skin. Where's Mark? She cried. Danny turned. Mark was gone. The red footprints Danny's breath caught in his throat. Mark had been right behind them. There was nowhere he could have gone. Lisa spun around. Mark, she screamed. No answer. But on the floor, leading down the dark hallway, footprints. Not just any footprints. Bare feet. Bloody. Leading away, deeper into the hospital. Lisa looked at Danny. We're not following that. Danny clenched his fists. We have to. Lisa grabbed his arm. This place isn't normal, Danny. People don't just disappear like that. We need to leave before we... A loud thump echoed through the hallway. Then another, and another. Like something massive was dragging itself toward them. Danny grabbed Lisa's wrist. Run! They bolted. The moving walls. As they ran, the hallways changed. The walls shifted, stretched, pulsed, like veins filled with thick black blood. Doors appeared where they shouldn't be. Corridors twisted, turning back on themselves. Danny's lungs burned, but he didn't stop. Mark, he shouted, and then a scream. Mark's scream. It came from behind a door labeled Ward 6 Restricted. Lisa stopped. We are not going in there. Danny grabbed the handle. Mark's in there. Lisa hesitated, then nodded. Danny pushed the door open. and everything changed. The dead patients. The room was huge. Rows of hospital beds lined the walls, and in each bed, a patient. Their faces were wrapped in bandages, their bodies twisted in unnatural ways, and they were all breathing, a slow, wet, rasping sound. Lisa stepped back. "They're alive?" Danny shook his head. "I don't think so." Then one of them moved. It sat up slowly, head twitching, then another, and another, until all of them were staring at Danny and Lisa. Danny's blood turned to ice. Lisa whimpered, and then one of them spoke. But it wasn't a voice, it was Mark's voice. "Help me." Danny's heart pounded. "Mark, where are you?" The patient stood up. Lisa grabbed Danny's hand. "We need to leave, now." One of the patients twitched violently. Its bandages unraveled, revealing a jaw unhinged too wide, and a hole where its eyes should have been. It screamed. The lights flickered violently, and suddenly, every patient rushed toward them. Lisa screamed. Danny grabbed her and ran. The patients chased them, their feet slapping against the floor, mouths gape high, in silent agony. The walls melted, the ceiling dripped blood. Something was laughing, a deep, guttural laugh. And then Danny saw it, a door at the end of the hall. He yanked Lisa inside and slammed it shut. The elevator of shadows. They were trapped. The room was small, cold, metal. An elevator. Lisa was shaking. "Danny, what is this place?" Danny had no idea. But then the elevator moved by itself. Lisa whimpered. The buttons had no numbers, just one word. Hell. Danny's breath caught. The light flickered, and then a face appeared in the reflection of the metal doors. Not his face, not Lisa's, but Mark's. His eyes were hollow, his mouth twisted in agony, and he whispered, "It's too late." The lights went out, and the screaming began again. The elevator shook violently. Danny pressed himself against the wall, gripping Lisa's hand so hard his fingers felt like they might snap. Mark's hollow-eyed face remained in the reflective metal doors. His lips twisted, whispering over and over, "It's too late, it's too late, it's too late." Lisa started sobbing. The elevator lurched. The floor display flickered. The buttons were gone, except for one word, hell. Then, with a loud ding, the doors slid open, and they stepped out into a nightmare. The morgue of the forgotten. The room beyond the elevator was freezing. Rows of metal slabs stretched out in front of them, each covered with a white sheet. The air smelled like rot. Lisa stopped breathing. "Danny, we shouldn't be here." Danny's breath came out in a cloud. The walls were lined with body drawers. Each one had names scratched off. No identity, just forgotten bodies locked away in the Devil's Hospital. Then, a hand twitched under one of the sheets. Lisa gasped. Danny froze. The sheet slid off. A corpse sat up. Its mouth was sewn shut. Its fingertips were raw, bleeding, scratched down to the bone. And in the silence, a whisper filled the air. "Let me out." Lisa backed away. "Danny, we need to go. Now." But the body drawers started rattling. One by one, they slammed open, and the dead began to crawl out. Danny grabbed Lisa's hand. They sprinted down the freezing hallway as the corpses dragged themselves after them. The hospital's lights flickered wildly, and then a sound. A scream. Not just any scream, Mark's scream. Lisa stopped in her tracks. "That's him." Danny looked ahead. A door labeled operating room. The scream came from inside. Danny didn't hesitate. He threw the door open and stepped into hell. The surgeon's return. Mark was strapped to a gurney. His mouth was stitched shut. His chest was cut open, ribs spread apart, organs still pulsing, but he was alive. His eyes locked onto Danny, begging and standing over him. The surgeon. The same blood-soaked figure from before. Only now, Danny could see his face, or rather, his lack of a face. Where his eyes should have been were gaping holes, leaking black fluid. His smile stretched unnaturally wide, sewn in place, and in his hand, a rusted scalpel, dripping with fresh blood. Lisa gagged. The surgeon turned toward them. His voice was low, broken, hungry. "Ah, more patients." Danny grabbed a rusted chair and swung it at the surgeon's head. The impact sent the monster stumbling back. Danny ripped the restraints off Mark. "We're getting out of here." But Mark was crying, shaking his head, trying to speak through his stitched lips. Danny pulled him up. "Come on." Lisa was already at the door. But then, the operating lights exploded, and the room plunged into darkness. The crawling flesh. The walls pulsed. A wet, slithering noise filled the air. Lisa screamed. The lights flickered back on, and something was crawling out of Mark's open chest. Something wrong. A long, blackened hand, covered in stitches, reached out from inside his body. fingernails curled like claws. The surgeon laughed. "He belongs to us now." Mark's body convulsed violently. His stomach bulged, something moving inside. Danny yanked Lisa toward the door. "Run!" Lisa sprinted first. Danny followed, but Mark's hand shot out, grabbing his ankle. Mark's eyes were black now. Tears of blood streamed down his face. "Don't let them take me," he begged through the stitches. Danny hesitated, just for a second, and in that second, Mark was ripped away, dragged back onto the gurney. Danny screamed his name, but the surgeon's scalpel came down and Mark stopped moving. Forever. The escape that wasn't. Danny didn't remember running, didn't remember Lisa screaming. The next thing he knew, they were back at the elevator. Danny's hands shook violently. Lisa hit the button. Come on," she sobbed. The elevator doors slid open, but this time, there was no reflection, no inside, just a black void. Lisa froze. Danny felt his stomach drop. What the hell is this? And then, a hand reached out, a charred skeletal hand. It grabbed Lisa's wrist. She screamed. Danny pulled her back, but the hand was stronger. It yanked her into the darkness. Danny reached out, but Lisa was gone, swallowed by the void, and then, the elevator doors slammed shut. Danny was alone, and behind him, a voice whispered, "Your turn." The lights went out. The moment the lights went out, Danny felt it. Breathing. Not his own. Something else. Deep, wet, hollow. It was right behind him. Danny's chest tightened. He didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink, and then a hand slid over his shoulder. Cold, bony, too many fingers. A voice slithered into his ear. "You should not be here." The lights exploded back on. Danny spun and saw nothing, only the empty, rotting hallway. But the walls were moving, like something was inside them. Something big, and it was watching him. The blood-stained hall. Danny stumbled backward. The floor wasn't solid anymore. It was pulsing, throbbing, like the hospital itself was alive. Down the hall, the lights flickered wildly. Lisa was gone, Mark was dead, and Danny was alone. He looked ahead. One door stood open. A flickering sign above it read, "Exit." Danny's breath caught. Could it really be that easy? He didn't care. He ran for it. But the moment he stepped inside, the walls slammed shut behind him. The operating theater. Danny turned in a panic. He was in a massive circular room, a surgical theater. Rows of empty seats stretched above him, all facing the center. The operating table was covered in blood, and on the floor, a scalpel, still wet. Danny took a shaky step forward, and then the lights above the seats clicked on. The theater was not empty. Danny's stomach dropped. Every seat was filled. Rows and rows of people in blood-stained surgical gowns. Their faces were missing, nothing but stretched, empty skin, and in unison, they all turned their heads to look at him. The black surgeon. Danny's breath caught. The figures didn't move, just watched. A speaker above the operating table crackled to life. A deep, broken voice whispered, "Begin the procedure." The door across the room creaked open, and the surgeon stepped inside. His scalpel dripped with black liquid. His stitched-up grin was too wide. Danny backed away. No. The surgeon took a slow step forward. "You are sick, Mr. Calloway. The disease has spread." Danny's chest tightened. "What the hell are you talking about?" The surgeon tilted his head. The figures in the seats began to hum, a slow, horrible melody. The walls shuddered. The operating table shook. The scalpel on the floor twitched, then flew across the room, landing in Danny's hand. "You must be cured," the surgeon whispered, and then the operating table tore open. Something crawled out, the thing that wore Danny's face. Danny's breath stopped. The thing was humanoid but not right. Its skin was raw, wet, stretched over a too thin frame. Its fingers were long, sharp. Its eyes were Danny's. Its face was his. A perfect copy, but twisted, wrong, smiling. The surgeon spread his arms wide. "The operation is complete." Danny shook his head violently. "No!" The thing took a step toward him. It spoke. "Why are you running?" Its voice was his voice. Danny stumbled back. "Stay the hell away from me." The thing's grin stretched wider. "But I am you." The audience in the seats stood up. Their skin-stretched faces split open, and they screamed. The lights shattered. The room plunged into darkness. Danny felt hands grab him. Hundreds of them, clawing, pulling, dragging him into the void. The last thing he saw was his own face grinning back at him. And then, everything was gone. Danny's mind snapped back into place like a trap springing shut. Darkness. Cold. Absolute darkness. But he wasn't alone. There were whispers all around him, soft, insidious. A chorus of voices chanting in unison, "Cut it out, cut it out, cut it out." Danny's chest tightened. His breath came in ragged gasps. He couldn't see, couldn't tell if he was standing, lying down, floating. Then, a sudden, blinding light. Danny squeezed his eyes shut. The overwhelming stench of antiseptic flooded his nose. When he forced his eyes open, he was somewhere new. Somewhere impossible. The hospital without end. He was in a hallway. Not just any hallway. The same hallway. Over and over again. Danny turned his head. The same exit sign, the same elevator, the same nurse's station, empty and abandoned. He ran down the corridor, but when he turned the corner, he was back where he started. "No, no, no," he muttered, his voice cracking. He punched the wall. It felt soft, too soft, like flesh. The walls shuddered beneath his hand, and then the lights flickered. The whispers grew louder. "Cut it out, cut it out, cut it out." And then, Danny heard it, a scream, a woman's voice. "Lisa." He spun around. The doors at the end of the hallway burst open, and something was coming. Lisa's fate. Danny's blood ran cold. Lisa stumbled into the hall. Her clothes were ripped, her eyes were wild, unfocused. Her skin was covered in stitches. Long, crude black sutures, as if she had been sewn together like a rag doll. Danny's stomach turned. "Lisa!" He ran toward her. She staggered, shaking her head violently. "Danny, no, get away." Tears streaked her filthy, blood-stained face. "He's coming," she screamed, and then the lights exploded, and the surgeon stepped into the hallway. Down. The final procedure begins. He was taller now, or maybe Danny was just smaller. His scalpel glistened, wet and slick. His stitched mouth curled into a cruel grin. "You are unwell, Mr. Calloway." Danny grabbed Lisa, pulling her behind him. "Stay the hell away from us." The surgeon's head twitched unnaturally. He raised his scalpel. The infection must be removed. Danny felt something move under his skin, like worms crawling beneath the flesh. His veins turned black. Lisa screamed. Danny collapsed. A pain like hot needles tore through his body. He lifted his shaking hands. The skin was peeling away, falling in strips, and underneath there was nothing. Nothing but the hospital. His flesh was part of it, his bones belonged to it, his soul was feeding it. The surgeon's voice was pure delight. "The operation is complete." Danny screamed. The truth of the hospital. Lisa's wails filled the air. Danny's mind fractured. He understood now. The Devil's Hospital wasn't real, not in the way the living understood reality. It was a place where the lost were trapped, a place where the dead weren't dead, a place where the sick were never cured, only consumed. Danny had been dying since the moment he arrived, and now he was part of it. His flesh peeled away completely, his bones cracked open, his veins unraveled like string. Danny Calloway ceased to be, and something else stood in his place. The final horror. Lisa collapsed to the floor. She stared up at Danny, or what was left of him. His face was stitched, his eyes were empty black pits, his mouth twisted into a familiar, awful grin. The surgeon turned to Lisa. "You're next," Lisa screamed. The lights died, the walls shuddered, and then silence.